I've stopped feeling like I need to have a bottle of wine on Wednesday when I get home from work because I'm stressed out. There are many other ways for us to deal with stress. Go to the fucking gym. Go lift some weights. Go take a walk. Go have a hard conversation with your wife. My name is Brian Pannuzzo. I help financial professionals stay in the best shape of their life without stepping away from the desk. I know your life because I lived it for 20 years. I sat in your seat. Welcome back to the podcast. This is the Success Lift podcast. Thank you for being with me. Merry Christmas to all of you. It is the week of Christmas, December 2025. I hope you've had an amazing holiday season so far. I hope you get to spend some time with family over the next couple of weeks. I hope you get some time to disconnect, to recharge a little bit. Some of you may need to rest and recover from a busy holiday season. Most of my clients have been just running through a gauntlet over the last several weeks. And this is usually when things slow down. Maybe some of our personal obligations pick up. Maybe some of our social environments now shift to family and friends away from clients and other obligations that we've had all month. It's been a doozy for a lot of the people that I work with. It's been pretty busy for me, but it's probably not as tough as it has been for you. If you're somebody who pays attention to me, you likely are a busy professional. You probably are a financial professional, or you may be a financial professional. But either way, whether you're a finance pro or you're just a CEO, an executive, or whatever, you've had a lot to do this month. And you always have a lot to do. It's part of the reason why you've become so successful in your career. And I was thinking through, what to talk about over the next couple of weeks heading into the new year. And of course, want to give you some ideas of how to make 2026, the year for you, as we all sort of say during this time of year. But I'll talk through next week about, what I think are some simple but not easy ways for you to achieve some epic results next year and beyond. But before that, leading into that, I wanted to address a pretty constant theme with the clients that I work with the people that I attract, and talk through the relationship between alcohol, which is becoming a much more popular topic, especially when it comes to people who are attempting to make some improvements in their life. Reducing alcohol is cool now. Whether or not that sticks, who knows? There's more and more and more research coming out. Every month it seems like, showing just how destructive and unhealthy alcohol can be. And don't turn me off, relax. I still drink, and I'll give you a bunch of caveats. And I don't see a world where I don't stop drinking anytime soon. But I certainly have seen the benefits of structurally reducing alcohol in my life. And this isn't just a you shouldn't drink podcast. I'm going to talk to you about a couple of ways that I like to think through the relationship between alcohol consumption and eating too much, right? Eating lower quality foods. And that's probably the main theme of what we want to talk about today, why they're so interconnected. Technically speaking, they don't have to be. They are mutually exclusive, as we like to say inside my program, right? You can drink 5 vodkas and eat grilled chicken, sweet potato, and broccoli. But when do we ever do that, right? You can eat like an absolute slob, like you're going to the electric chair, while you're sober. But when do we really ever do that? And so it's the marrying of the two that becomes the challenge for a lot of people that I work with. We'll put together a few of the free guides that are inside of my program on drinking alcohol, on surviving client dinners, on surviving travel, and we'll give you access to all of those. You can check all of those out in the show notes inside of the podcast description. I would highly encourage you to check those out because they'll be valuable for you. There's some simple tools in there that you can put into play in order to help your cause and still be able to do some of the things that you want to do without blowing up your progress. But before we get into some of the strategies that you can employ, just a quick overview of my thought process and some stats that I even looked up. They're pretty obvious. I didn't really need to look up a ton of research on this, but it's very clear from the data, and probably more importantly from my data, meaning my relationship with this, my personal relationship, and now my experience working with hundreds of people just like you, like literally just like you. All right. I see this week in and week out inside of my program. My clients, people who drink more alcohol will have, not tend to have, all right? The research that I looked up says tend to. I can remove tend to. They will have a poorer overall diet quality, right? According to the research, diet scores decrease as alcohol consumption goes up. There's an inverse relationship between it. It's very obvious to me, okay? More drinking is tied to worse food choices. When do we ever sit around with a bottle of wine and eat a bunch of fruits and vegetables? Now, maybe it's a charcuterie board that has some, bell peppers and baby carrots and raspberries and blueberries, but we stuff the cheese and the crackers down. You guys get the point. We're usually not sitting around drinking alcohol, especially excess alcohol, and consuming low calorie, high nutrient dense foods. Okay. Alcohol calories usually are on top of as well, on top of the food that we're already consuming. So very rarely do people, now I actually have some clients who do this because they have to, and I'll explain that in a moment, but very rarely do people reduce their food calories intentionally in order to make room for alcohol. And so what's happening is it's excess calories that are coming on top of the calories they're already supposed to be consuming. It's kind of like eating late at night, right? There is actually, there's some things wrong with eating late at night, but from a what your body weight ends up being, what the scale shows, right? There is no difference between eating at 10 p.m. and eating at 10 a.m. Now, when we eat at 10 p.m., we're usually not eating salmon and, kale and spinach and arugula and potatoes. We're usually eating snacks and garbage. When we're eating at 10 p.m., we also are usually eating in excess of the calories we've already consumed for the day. But simply, if you just waited until 10 p.m. to eat your meal because you couldn't eat dinner at your normal time, there is no impact overall in the long term on your body composition and your weight, overall scale weight. Now, if you go to bed at 10:30, it might impact your sleep, but from a weight loss perspective, there's no difference. And so yes, there is a world where you can allocate alcohol calories, which are completely empty calories, completely empty. They have no protein, they have no nutrients, they actually get burned first. The body recognizes it as a toxin and it burns it first before it starts burning the carbs and the fats for fuel. And so your body's consistently trying to get rid of it on a regular basis. And so it's just something that ends up being, additional stuff in the body that needs to be removed. And it's usually excess calories. And most importantly for this conversation, it's the relationship between the food quality and the alcohol that becomes a problem, all right? But it is also additional calories. Studies that I looked up show that people who drink on a regular basis, at elevated levels, typically have 25 to 30% of their calories come from alcohol. If you have 25% of your calories coming from something with zero nutrients, all right, that causes you to want to eat more, all right, your appetite control and cravings get really, really tough to handle, all right? Alcohol affects the brain and the signals. It makes you feel hungrier once you start eating. How many times have we had a few drinks on an empty stomach and then just went wild? How many times have we come home from a big night of drinking and just got after it in the pantry and in the fridge and in the freezer. And so they are very interrelated. Like I said, there is not many situations when you can completely control your food quality and still drink alcohol. If you and I know each other well, and I'm with a group of friends and we're meeting up at a bar to reconnect and to talk shit and to have some fun, we're probably not ordering, grilled chicken, skewers. We're probably getting nachos. We're probably getting wings. We're probably getting sliders. We're probably getting steak on toast if we're at a nice steakhouse like I did with a client meetup recently. We're not getting low calorie, high nutrient dense foods that will help us achieve our body composition goals. We're getting bar food. We're around at parties with past appetizers and hors d'oeuvres. We're in environments where excess calories become the norm. And that's the relationship. Again, like I do this all the time with clients. And if you're on YouTube right now, you can see both of my hands. I'm holding two fists up like I'm ready to fight, all right? Alcohol and food are mutually exclusive. You can drink a lot of booze and you cannot eat a lot of food. You can eat a lot of food and not drink excessively. Very rarely do those two things happen alone. They usually happen together, okay? And so the research is very clear. The more people drink, the worse their diet quality tends to be. They don't eat less food to make up for the calories. That is a strategy that you can employ. There will be some resources for you to check out in the show notes in order to do that. We've developed some resources for our clients so that they can put strategies into place when they're in these environments, because we realize that you're not going to be able to get out of these environments on a frequent basis. Could you decide over time to start putting yourself less and less in some of these environments? Yes. Is that an incredibly effective strategy? Yes. Are you probably going into alcohol environments that you don't need to go into because you have historically for the past decade or two? Yes. Yes. But sometimes you need to go to the event. Sometimes you need to stop by. Sometimes you need to show your face. Sometimes you are the person that people want to see. You are being asked to go to a meetup, an event, a dinner, so that other people can get a little face time with you. You've elevated yourself in your career to this point. I have clients who have to manage having 6 or 7 things on their calendar throughout the week where people just want them to kind of come in and say hello to the people they're with, and then an hour or so later they leave. And then they go do it again somewhere else. But they come in and they have to have 2 drinks real quick, and then there's food out, and then they go to the next thing, and then those people are drinking, and that's their time with you. That's their face time with you. And so if you live in a world like that, or something fairly similar where you're entertaining on a frequent basis, you're seeing clients, you're connecting, it's a necessary part of a lot of the jobs that the people that I work with have. You don't just, bring your Tupperware of, measured food, everywhere you go. You have to adapt to certain environments, all right? And when alcohol is present, it's going to affect some of your decisions. It's going to affect hunger cues in your head, in your brain. Right? It's going to lower your inhibitions. It means you're likely going to overconsume. So you got to know that going in. You got to have a plan for it, right? Food quality and alcohol consumption, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it and keep saying it, they are mutually exclusive. You can live in a world where you focus on your food quality and you can still drink. It's something that I'm getting better and better at. It's something that you need to prepare for and know this is going to be a elevated environment of booze. Therefore, I'm going to keep it pretty tight. How do I do that and not look weird? Well, I can make sure that I order like a steak, and I can fill up on a lot of vegetables. And I can get, shrimp cocktail or crab meat or oysters or, lobster tails. I tell clients all the time, especially when it's not their credit card, when it's the company credit card, or it's, they're the client and they're out with their salesperson, whatever it is. Like, get the seafood tower, right? Get the $600 appetizer at the steakhouse. I don't think it's $600, but it ain't cheap, right? When you're not paying, make sure you get the seafood tower. Anything on the seafood tower is good to go. So we can get shrimp cocktail at a restaurant. We can get a nice steak. I would probably get the filet, not the sirloin, not the New York strip, not the ribeye. It's going to be elevated calories. We can order a bunch of vegetables. We cannot be a a-hole with everything else, is what I tell them. So we can improve our food quality. There are strategies that we can implement, and again, some of these are going to be in the guides that are available to you that I would highly encourage you to check out in the show notes below for your podcast, wherever you're listening to this, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There's some things that you can do. We'll put the links in YouTube also. There's some things you can do that I would highly recommend that you do. But ultimately, we have to all accept that, alcohol consumption, that's more than just like a glass of wine with dinner at home. And food quality is going to be a challenge for many of us. And so you have to sometimes pick your poison, or you have to plan around when you're going to be in these environments. And if you're going to be in these environments like many people are on a frequent basis, then ultimately you're going to have to make some choices on whether or not you should be in these environments on such a frequent basis. And that was one of the reasons why this topic kind of came up as something that I wanted to talk about over the, right now. And arguably, like, timing wise, we're a little late for this to be implemented for the month of December. Most of my clients have been dealing with this challenge, this environment, for the last several weeks, and we've been helping them navigate through, pre-planning the things that maybe they're going to put in their body so that they have some room to be able to go into environments like this. All of this starts with you thinking through what your week looks like on a Sunday, and that's what we have clients do. We have them look at their week from a macro perspective, right? Where do you have to be? Where are you going? What are your obligations? What's on your calendar? What does this week look like? For a lot of people, they may look at some of their previous few weeks and shake their head and go, whoa, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough for me to manage. And now, so we have a bunch of options. We can start to implement strategies to still excel, still achieve our goals during this week, right? We can reduce some of the things that we're going to do, or we can just look at the calendar and say, this is going to be a week that progress likely is going to be tough. And that is one thing that I think a lot of people struggle with, is that they're constantly thinking that they should be making progress when we may just be in a season of neutral, a season of defense. I've said this before. I've worked with clients in the past. I'm currently working with some right now who are losing a reasonable amount of weight over a 6-month period of time. But if we looked at their weigh-ins, their scale weight over the last 4 weeks, it's effectively zero. It's effectively flat. They've lost a couple of pounds one week. They've gained them back another week because they've just had tough ones. They're oscillating in the same area that they were at like before Thanksgiving. And while that's frustrating, we knew it was coming. And so we had the expectation for it. And so for you to be able to constantly adjust and align your expectations with what you have in front of you is a critical skill for you to develop, because so many times people struggle with the fact that they're not making progress, but they're in a season of their life where progress is probably not the main objective. Right? There's too many other things for you to focus on. There's work, there's your family, there's the holiday stuff, there's all these commitments that you have to show up to, and it's you just need to do what you need to do to survive. to get through the next week or so, or maybe you've just gotten through the next week or so, and you can now start to develop or devote more time for yourself again. But these seasons are going to come up again in January and February and beyond. So like, you got to start to think about these things. And so it's okay for you to not make progress. Like, on paper, I would argue that you holding your ground and kind of fighting the fight through some of these tough weeks for yourself is progress, because you're developing a skill. The more you do this, the better you're going to get at it. And I'm living proof of, like, 10 years into this skill development, you can actually still make progress. You can get through a holiday season and make progress. Now, the bar may just shift. It may just be a little bit different. So like right now, I'm actually trying to put on a couple of pounds myself. I'm using we have a lot of clients that have shifted into muscle building phases, because we knew over the course of the next several months, calories were going to be elevated, right? The season of where most of us live, it's colder. You're not going to be taking your shirt off that much. And so like, this is a good time for a lot of clients to be building some lean muscle tissue. Now, what comes with that is maybe feeling a little bit heavier than you normally do. That's part of the process. You can't strip off body fat, get super lean, and build muscle at the same time. You usually have to do it in phases. So we have clients going through a muscle building phase right now. I've been attempting to put on some muscle since October. Right around Christmas, right after Christmas, I'll be shifting into a pretty aggressive fat loss phase so that I can look epically good. Is that even a right term? So I can look ridiculously good for a trip that I'm taking at the end of February. So knowing what your forward calendar looks like is always really important. It's something we're always considering with the executives, with the financial professionals that we work with. Because if you don't know, you can't plan. And you have to plan. You plan your whole work week. You plan your whole work day. Everything in your work life is planned. We just tend to throw shit up against the wall when it comes to our personal life. And start to treat your personal life a little bit more like you treat your professional life. I've said this a lot. You have specific goals for your professional life. You've had mentors. You have people who you follow, coaches, for lack of a better phrase. Okay? You've had a step-by-step plan on what to do. You follow that plan on a regular basis. You're constantly planning in your professional life. And then the fourth thing you need to do is you need to show up when you don't want to. And you do that all the time with work. I mean, you may be listening to me right now on your way to work during a holiday week because you decided to take a couple other days off and you're covering the desk right now. Or next week is your week off. You don't want to go to work today. I know you don't. You don't want to go to work most days, but you do. But you do, because you've decided it's important. You've decided it's important. And when you make a decision about what's important in your life, you do what's necessary. Your family is very important to you. You do what's necessary for your family. Your career is very important to you. You do what's necessary, even when you don't want to. You get up for those parents who have kids who, are able to go out. Like my son drives now, but like my daughter's 11. My daughter is old enough to go to her friends' houses and hang out. My daughter's old enough for her to be out of the house for a few hours. But at 8 o'clock, when it's time for her to get home, she needs a ride. She can't just jump in an Uber as an 11-year-old. She can't drive her car home. It's dark out, so maybe we don't want her walking home or riding her bike or something like that. So guess what happens? We have to get up off the couch and go get her. Guess who doesn't want to do that? Me. Guess who doesn't want to go drive around everywhere like an Uber driver and take your kids to practices and games and activities all night after you've worked a 10-hour day? You. I know you don't, but you do. Because you signed up for this parent thing. And so you do it anyway. And that's what has to happen for you to get epic results in your personal life in 2026 and beyond. You have to find mentors. You have to have a desirable goal. You have to follow a structured plan. And you gotta do it anyway when you don't want to. And that's where alcohol sort of comes in and kind of weave this whole web back together for you guys. If it's a constant in your life, realize that you're going to be bumping up into resistance on a regular basis. And again, I want to remind you that I am not recommending that you quit drinking. I am not quitting drinking anytime soon. It is not on my agenda for 2026. But if you look at my consumption over the last 10 years, structurally speaking, it has declined pretty significantly. I have stopped with the ones and the twos on a Tuesday night. I've stopped feeling like I need to have a bottle of wine on Wednesday when I get home from work because I'm stressed out. There are many other ways for us to deal with stress. Go to the fucking gym. Go lift some weights. Go take a walk. Go have a hard conversation with your wife. Let people know around you that things are happening that you're struggling with. One of the simplest, most revolutionary things that I've ever done is like just tell my wife what's happening in my head, which sounds stupid. I was just talking to a client about this recently. Like, I was frustrated the other day, and my wife could see that I was frustrated. I was reacting to something on my laptop. I was sending an email back to someone. And normally what I would do in the past is when she says, what's going on? What's wrong? I would process quickly. She doesn't need to feel this burden. I can deal with this. So I'll just deal with this. I'll just be frustrated by this and I'll fix it, because I don't want her to feel stress about it too, because it has something to do with our family, something to do with money. And so instead of just grunting like nothing, it's okay, I got it, I decided to explain to her what I was frustrated about, because there was a number of different things. And I didn't unload on her, I just shared. I just let her know, this sucks right now. This is something I'm working on. And it's like, you let your wife into your inner world, for lack of a better phrase. And you let them understand what's going on with you. So like, stop trying to figure all this stuff out on your own. Go get help. If that's a coach, cool. If that's a therapist, awesome. If that's you talking to your wife more, great. Do all those things. But stop opening up a bottle of wine and drowning your daily stress in it. There's a relationship between alcohol and lack of performance, lack of our elite performance. I'm telling you, if you decide to structurally change your consumption, your performance will go up. It can't not. There are very few people in the world that can operate drinking regularly and looking and feeling the way they want to. And the only way to know is to start to change a little bit. And there's ways that you can do it. There's ways we have clients do it. I would say 90% of our clients drink alcohol on a fairly regular basis, but all of them attempt to reduce it over time and notice tremendous benefits when they do. Remember, the relationship is mutually exclusive. You can be perfect with your nutrition and drink alcohol. It just very rarely happens, all right? If you have any questions about this, you can reach out to me, ask me some specifics that relate to you. You can reach me at brian@thesuccesslift.com. I appreciate all of you. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I hope you have a phenomenal week and end to 2026. Make sure you tune in next week. We're going to go through how to make 2026 an epic year for you. We're going to talk about simple but not easy ways to put your performance on repeat and get epic results. Merry Christmas. I appreciate you. And I'll see you back here next week.